Of course, we're tracking the other big story of the day, Election Day for states across the country. And today's contest marks the first test of the Trump administration at the polls. And these elections could shape the next steps for the Democratic Party. In the Northeast, voters will choose a new mayor of New York City, a governor in New Jersey, and a governor in Virginia. California voters will decide on a Democrat-proposed redistricting map. We've got a team of coverage for you this morning, including Nikole Killion, who's live in Virginia, Jericka Duncan, who's joining us from New Jersey. But first, let's get to Ed O'Keefe, who's live in my hometown, Queens, New York City, as voters submit their picks for mayor. So it looks pretty quiet behind you, Ed, but I know a lot of people in this city voted early. What are you seeing?
Oh, no, Vlad. This is sustained all day long so far. We've seen a healthy clip since they opened up earlier today. And this is about as distinctly New York as it gets. We're in Astoria, Queens, at the Frank Sinatra School of the Arts, right across the street from where they tape Sesame Street. So it's about as New York as it can get, Vlad. And there was record early voting through Sunday when they ended early voting, far exceeding those who voted for mayor 4 years ago. And like I said, so far, we've been seeing a steady stream all day long at this high school here in the gymnasium in Queens. We were here in this specific location because Zohran Mamdani, the guy who is the front runner in this race, voted here a little while ago. The 34-year-old New York assemblyman has really managed to surprise a lot of people who've observed politics in this town for quite some time, telling reporters earlier today that this is the culmination of a campaign that many found improbable, and that his goal, and this I think is a signal to the wider world, is really just what's going on within the 5 boroughs of New York. That will be his concern if he becomes mayor, not necessarily seeing his views of democratic socialism or the proposals he has to make life in this city more affordable spread across the country. There's been a big debate, of course, among Democrats about whether he's exactly who they want running this city or whether he's a poster boy for potential Democratic failures. Republicans quite eager to see him take office so that they have someone to run against next year. But this morning making clear he did that his big concern is only about this big city.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting point, and you and I were talking about it yesterday about whether or not he is representative of Democrats writ large, but Zohran Mamdani cannot win in a state like Ohio or Kentucky the way Andy Beshear could. But I do have a question for you. Given that the President of the United States has endorsed Andrew Cuomo, which is kind of interesting. And of course, Mamdani is running on that, saying, look, you've got the President of the United States, who's a Republican, endorsing a Democrat, Andrew Cuomo. What did you make of that? And what did you make of the threat that President Trump has made on social media that he doesn't see, and to Norah O'Donnell in 60 Minutes, that he might withhold federal funds to New York City if Mamdani's elected?
This is something he's been threatening, Vlad, for several months as he's observed what's going on in his hometown. Remember, he grew up, born and raised in nearby Jamaica, Queens, and somebody who made his millions in this town. So he approaches this specific race with a little bit of credibility and experience, but he has made clear that given that Mamdani was leading and given that he may run the city, he would look to withhold federal funding should he become mayor. Now, Mamdani and other Democrats have said, we'll sue to get it back. They are taxpayers into the federal system and are owed what they're owed. But it's a preview of what is likely to occur should he become mayor in January. This ongoing fight and this sort of retribution campaign that we've seen the president mount in areas controlled by Democrats, or his concern with crime that may or may not actually be unfolding in those cities, whether it's Chicago, Portland, or now here in New York, as he has his eye on it. But Mamdani seized on the president's endorsement of the former Democratic mayor, his pandemic-era nemesis, Andrew Cuomo, in the last 36 hours or so, saying, that's a signal that we've been warning you about, that Cuomo would be essentially Trump's guy here in New York and let things happen that the president wants to happen. Mamdani arguing he will be a better way of controlling those presidential aspirations here in town. Vlad, polls close tonight here in New York, 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll see how soon after they can call this race.
All right, Ed O'Keefe for us here in New York City. As always, Ed, we thank you, my friend. Let's get straight to CBS News national correspondent Jericka Duncan, who's joining us from New Jersey. So, Jericka, how are the candidates feeling as they make their last-minute appeal to voters?
So, Vlad, I got to tell you, the big story here is actually the Attorney General sent out a release saying that they were monitoring threats early morning threats that they responded to. The lieutenant governor put on her social media bomb threats, but the attorney general said threats, and that they were polling at some polling locations. Some of them have already reopened. Others, they said voters are being directed to nearby polling locations to cast their ballot. Obviously, that's not the case here where we are in Bridgewater. And there has been a pretty good clip of people going in and voting. We saw an assistant living van just pull up behind us, and a number of people came out to vote. As far as the candidates are concerned, in reference to that threat affecting 7 counties, they both said, listen, there is no tolerance for any type of threats or anything to try and thwart this race. They want people to feel safe when they come out to the polling place so that they can cast their ballot. But when I spoke to the campaigns yesterday and a little bit this morning, actually, they do feel good overall. It's a nice day outside. This is the straightaway. They've been out on the campaign trail for months now with their messages, both really focusing on affordability for people here in New Jersey. But of course, we know this has national implications because a lot of people are trying to find out what this means in reference to how the Republican Party will fare if, in fact, a Republican is nominated in the state of New Jersey, because President Trump was so close to Kamala Harris, just 5.9% in that 2024 election. So people paying a very close attention on this particular race. But again, there was a threat, according to the Attorney General, at 7 polling locations. They have reopened them, and those who are affected by the polling locations that they're still looking into have been redirected to other places. We'll, of course, keep you abreast of any new information. Vlad?
All right, Jericka Duncan reporting from Bridgewater, New Jersey for us. Thank you, Jericka. Appreciate it. Now let's get to CBS News congressional correspondent Nikole Killion, who's live in Henrico, Virginia. Nikole, you spoke with one of the candidates ahead of the election. What'd she say?
Yeah, well, we spent time with both campaigns over the last couple of days here in Virginia, and they both are pulling out all the stops kind of in these final days leading up to Election Day. But we did spend a little bit of time more specifically with the incumbent Republican Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl-Sears, who is looking to make history today, as is former Democratic Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger. Regardless of who wins, a woman will be the next governor of the Commonwealth, which has not happened in its 4 centuries of history. So that will be very significant. But, you know, in terms of Winsome Earl-Sears more specifically, we saw President Trump hold a tele-rally last night for the Republican ticket. But notably, he did not name her, and he has not endorsed her in this race. And I asked the lieutenant governor a bit more about that. Take a listen.
Why haven't you been able to secure the president's
Well, let me
endorsement?
say it this
And
way.
at this
I don't
point,
really
does it
think
matter?
that, Here's the thing. I'm working, and I'm working very hard. I've always run very hard races. The president and I have spoken. Remember, in Virginia, the lieutenant governor has to win her own race. I am not chosen by the governor, so I had to convince people to vote for me.
So she is determined to do this on her own, although she has campaigned alongside Governor Glenn Youngkin, who, quite frankly, his endorsement might matter the most here in the Commonwealth, given his popularity here. So she has been going throughout the Commonwealth with Youngkin over the last several days, looking to secure the vote. She remains confident that, if they can drive turnout today, that could be helpful with her bid, even as she trails Abigail Spanberger in the polls.
And so have we heard from Abigail Spanberger, Nikole?
Well, in terms of Spanberger, I mean, look, she too has brought out her fair share of star power in these closing days, bringing many rising stars, if you will, in the Democratic Party out on the trail, whether that's Pete Buttigieg or Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania. And of course, just over the weekend, we saw her campaigning side by side with former President Barack Obama. So again, as far as the Spanberger team is concerned, she is really hoping that all that enthusiasm translates here at the polls. Take a listen to her closing argument.
In Virginia, we need a governor who will stand up against the chaos and endeavor to create stability, steadiness, and job growth here on the ground. And I'm excited about this moment.
So she has mostly been running against the Trump administration and its policies, whether those were the DOGE cuts that we saw earlier this year, the ongoing government shutdown, continuing to argue that she is the change that the Commonwealth needs at this time. We will see, Vlad, if voters agree.
All right, Nikole Killion for us, reporting from Virginia this morning. Thank you, Nikole. Folks, stay with CBS News 24/7 all day for updates on races all across the country. Make sure to stream our special coverage beginning on The Takeout with Major Garrett at 5 p.m. Eastern.